this is Ronda Degaust with LifePotentialDevelopments.com, international NLP trainer, coach, columnist, and author of How to Heal from Years of Criticism, Insults, Abuse, and Rejection. With me is Roger Ellerton, a well-respected NLP trainer, coach, speaker, management consultant, and author of 5 NLP books. Welcome, Roger.
Hello, Rhonda. Great to see you and speak with you again.
Well, thanks for coming. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions on your book that you wrote on Parents' Handbook, NLP Common Sense Guide for Family and Well-Being. So what led you to write this book on parenting, Roger?
Well, that's an interesting question. You know how sometimes you have things that are right in your face and you don't see them? And as you know, I've been training in NLP for a number of years. And when I'd be in class, I'd say to the people, particularly who are parents, say, you know, this is really great to use with your children, and I talk to them about how they could be more effective parents, how they would support their children, and people would acknowledge that. And then finally one day, one of the participants, who's a good friend, came up to me and said, well, why don't you write a book on it? I hadn't thought of that, and I checked, and there were only a couple of books at the time written on NLP and kids or parenting. And I'd seen those, and I wasn't a fan of those. So I saw a real opportunity to write the book. So I did. And interestingly, shortly after I wrote it, several other books appeared. And I can say they're actually good books, the other ones. However, they tend to be more specialized in terms of accelerated learning or with your teenagers or whatever. And I think they're good books. And my book sort of covers the whole waterfront: accelerated learning, how to deal with your youngsters, your teenagers, how to support them, how they can support themselves, etc. So I think it covers the waterfront.
Well, your book was more on from the perspective of a parent, which provides some great insight on how parents can be more effective in interacting with their children and supporting them to be more resourceful and also improve their communication, skills at home, at school, and at play with the student or their peers. And, if you were to pick up one of the topics that you did in your book for the listeners, which one do you think would be the most interesting?
Well, that's a big question. As I'm thinking about it, I know I've dealt with accelerated learning, and I talk about as children develop their brain waves and so forth. I talk about a lot of different topics. But I guess the one that I'd say that I think stands out for me is that there's a chapter, and it's one of the later chapters, that deals with the 6 different parenting styles. And these styles are based on Bill's logical levels. And maybe I'll just go over a few of them. I won't talk about the logical levels, but those in NLP will recognize the logical levels. And the first parenting style is being a caretaker or guide, which really means making sure that the environment is safe and really guiding your children through that environment. The next parenting is I'm thinking about as being a coach, and of course this is where you coach them in certain behaviors, those that work well within the family or at school or whatever, and those that don't work so well. And then the next parenting skill is being a teacher, and this is where you actually teach them different capabilities, teach them different strategies, and then the next one is being a mentor. And this is where you actually mentor them in certain beliefs and values that will support them as they grow up. And then the next one would be a sponsor, where you as a parent, you see something in your children that they haven't realized yet, some innate skill, some ability, and so forth. So you sponsor them to bring that forward. It may be your child is very good in terms of sports, or they may be very good in terms of interacting with other people. And you recognize this is a skill that you could bring forward, so you sponsor that. So you're a sponsor. And then the final parenting skill is actually being an awakener. And what this means is this: you introduce your children to something that's larger than them. And for example, a 2-year-old, their whole world is sometimes them. So you introduce them to the fact that there's a family, there's more than just them. And then as they get a little bit older, you introduce them to something larger than the family, which can be going to daycare, going to school, etc. And then when they get even older, introduce them to a larger system. It's not just about your neighborhood and so forth. There's a city out there. There's a country out there. Like, what else is possible? So those are the 6 parenting roles. And what I also did in that chapter, which I'm quite pleased about, is that I introduce them in terms of which techniques would work at the different levels. And I know when I was studying NLP and certainly talking to other people, the big question is, hey, there's a lot of great NLP techniques, but which ones do I use when? So in that chapter, I say, here's some techniques that will work very effectively at the environment level, or at the coaching behavior level, or at the mentor when we're dealing with beliefs and values, etc. So it's also a guidebook, not just for parents, but anybody in NLP in terms of which NLP techniques could be used in certain situations.
Well, that's wonderful, Roger. And for more information on this wonderful book that Roger's written, you can go to www.renewal.ca.